We got another Mosher Mailbag Monday edition of Football at 4. Geoff Mosher, of course, is host of the Inside the Birds podcast with Adam Kaplan, Andrew DeCecco. They join us each and every day at 4 o'clock for Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. A lot of people today obviously talking Jalen Hurts. You and I talked about Hurts on Wednesday's show, Jeff. He was kind of the basis of the topic of conversation. Somebody asked me what the story of the Eagles was for me, and I said, what's the next act for Jalen Hurts? Well, of course, the list season is here. Jalen Hurts coming in at number 9 on the list has some people up in arms. And we talked about the disrespect that Jalen Hurts has had. Does 9 feel about right for you? Jaden Daniels on that list at number 5 overall. Evan Cohen was on with us earlier. He thinks that Hurts is the most disrespected quarterback in the NFL. Why do we think that Hurts is so polarizing?
Oh, man. I think we talked about it in the last episode, right? Or last time we were even discussing this. It has a lot to do with how the rest of the league views the entire Eagles roster, how Jalen Hurts himself plays the game. There are all variety of reasons of why the rankings for Jalen probably aren't as high as Eagles fans would like it to be and consider it disrespectful. But listen, I think that there's something to also be said where if you ask enough people who are objective or who have a good understanding of the game, who are analysts and who are being fair, and Jalen Hurts keeps coming up outside of the top 5, then that probably speaks to something about how we in Philadelphia or fans in Philadelphia view him versus the rest of the league. A lot of these people who are taking these surveys, I imagine they're analysts of the game and they watch tape and they're, not just schlubs who live in Idaho, right? That's why I have to assume when ESPN or NFL Network comes out with their lists and things like that. So, the truth, Mike, as they always say, lies somewhere in between.
Yeah, this is executives, scouts, coaches who right now are saying, look, would I like to have Jalen Hurts? Yes, but if I had the opportunity to draft some of these other guys or pick some of these other guys, it's no knock on him, but there's 10 pretty good quarterbacks in this league, and then I think there's probably a dip there. So, you take a look at people's opinions. They vary from, what style. I think Hurts fits very well in this offense. Does Justin Herbert fit as well in the Eagles' offense?
I don't know what quarterback who's good wouldn't fit in the Eagles' offense, to be honest with you. I just, it's not like it's a system, a real defined system. There are certain systems, like we talk about Kyle Shanahan's offense. It might fit one quarterback over the other, or one quarterback who has a certain type of skill set over another. But I think the Eagles have done a good job, right, adapting to whoever their personnel to who the quarterback is. Because when Tanner McKee went in there, he sure looked pretty good, even though he doesn't have anything near the skill set or traits of Jalen Hurts. So there are some teams that just do a good enough job assembling a coaching staff and an offense that they don't need you to fit a certain archetype.
Let's get a couple questions on this. Phil has this one. He says, Hurts actively sought Michael Jordan out this offseason for advice on how to keep a championship mindset. He's seeking out advice from the GOAT. What does that tell you? Jeff, is he building a Hall of Fame resume? We're talking about a Hall of Fame resume now for Jalen Hurts. Who would have thought that when they drafted him? That's from Phil in Brigantine.
Yeah, I don't know that says anything about what kind of resume he's building or what kind of player he's going to be. First of all, there's a connection there because he's Jalen Hurts, I believe, is a spokesperson for the Jordan brand, like for their football division. So you would think at some point he was going to meet Michael Jordan and have some kind of conversations with him. But Nick Sirianni, for example, has done something similar. He has talked about how he has talked to a lot of coaches who have won multiple championships to sort of pick their brain on what it is they did after winning the first one to make sure that they were continuously successful and able to win more. I think Popovich was among the list of people he spoke to. I know he named a couple of coaches, some college coaches as well. And then just some like Dawn Staley, I think he said he spoke to as well. So I think that just shows that Hurts and Sirianni are the type of coach and player who are not just satisfied with winning it all and are very hungry and are very competitive to keep winning and keep proving it, which is great. That's what you want.
Yeah, good stuff. You take a look at from Phil. Yes, he is out apparently in Greece right now, I think, with Michael Jordan. Jalen Hurts is. And, you're picking Michael Jordan's brain on what do I do to win a second Super Bowl. Can't hurt there. Is he building the Hall of Fame resume? I don't know. What is the Hall of Fame? I mean, he's like a Troy Aikman.
Are you making fun of me because we had this conversation last time?
No, but you're right. I mean, no, I'm not making fun of you, but you're right. He's like a Troy Aikman where last week we were talking about this, where the numbers don't say Hall of Famer, but the accolades do.
Right. And not even just the numbers, just like, I used Terry Bradshaw, I used Troy Aikman, and a little bit of a Joe Flacco comparison in that just won a lot of games, won championships. With Joe, it was only one, but I mean, he was in the playoffs every year for the first 6 or 7 years of his career. But even you would just say, if we sat down and said, name the 5 best quarterbacks from 1990 to 1995, you're probably going Montana, Young, and some other guys before you get to Aikman. Marino, same thing. And same thing of Bradshaw's era, although I'm not as familiar with the 70s, but I would hear from people who covered the game or watched the game before me that there were some guys, when you named your top 3 or 4 best quarterbacks, Bradshaw wouldn't be among them. Maybe not like Johnny Unitas or something, right? But still, he's 4 Super Bowls in. And
how much
to be shy about?
And we talk about perception. We probably talked about this Wednesday, but the perception of what Hurts was when he entered the league and how hard it is for you to change your mindset of what your perception was to what now you have to adjust it to actually be. That's hard for people.
It is. It's and this is why I really don't like rankings altogether because they change every year. I remember a couple of years ago, Matt Stafford in these polls that we were talking about that are coming out now was not anybody's top 10 because it was a year after he had won the Super Bowl. He was hurt. They went 6-10. They missed the playoffs. He was, not A, hurt, and B, the team wasn't that good. And all of a sudden he stunk. Nobody liked Matt Stafford anymore. And now, 2 or 3 years later, he's been back to the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years, went to the NFC divisional game, gave the Eagles the best game. And now he's back in everybody's good graces again. So that's why I only take these things with a grain of salt anyway. Plus, Lane Johnson I think a couple of years ago, wasn't even in the top 100, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, and what we say, these are all, but this list comes from scouts, executives, coaches. Yeah. That's why I think people put a little bit more into this one potentially.
I agree. I think that's fair. Although I did see that someone tweeted that in that list, like someone put Lamar Jackson 6th. And it's like, there are 5 better quarterbacks than Lamar Jackson, really?
I don't know. Lamar Jackson was number 4 on that list.
He was number 4 overall, but one executive.
Oh, right. His lowest ranking was 6. His highest ranking was number 1 overall. The one I think that has people rankled is Jaden Daniels being the number 5 guy. Then it was Matthew Stafford, then Justin Herbert, and then Jared Goff, then Jalen
Hurts. Yeah, and listen, that surprises me. I think if I were doing the list, I would have Hurts higher than that, at least 2 rungs higher. But again, what does it say when this many people don't? Like I mean, it's all subjective anyway. It just means that a lot of people who should have an enlightened opinion and a good objective.
Well, do you think this, Jeff? Do you think, Jeff, this is a like, hey, if he was our quarterback, maybe we wouldn't be as good. Maybe like that's the right offense for him.
I think it's more that that's the right 53-man roster for him. That he is a beneficiary of some great talent, which is not untrue, but it just depends on how far you want to go. Jimmy Kempsky of Philly Voice wrote a really good article about it today. So did Andrew Checo, where they both had quotes from Sirianni basically saying it's BS that people constantly say that he benefits from a good roster. And then he named all these quarterbacks like Montana, like Young, like Peyton Manning, right, who had really good players around him too, which is sort of a straw man argument a little bit, but I understand what the point was. But I do think that is I think when people start saying, oh man, I think, like someone like Geno Smith, who I like, good quarterback, but he hasn't accomplished anything in his career, or Trevor Lawrence. If you put Trevor Lawrence with the Eagles, he's winning a Super Bowl. That's where I think he gets taken way too far.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that way about Justin Herbert too. I'm a fan of Justin Herbert's game, but I'm probably less high on him than some others. Every time I watch him, I feel like there's something missing. And while I'll admit when I watch Jalen Hurts, I'll be the first to say there are things missing in his game as a passer, throwing over the middle, some of the way he takes sacks. But at least he's proven he can win a Super Bowl and be an excellent player in the playoffs, even without it. I haven't seen Justin Herbert overcome his own flaws yet. So I wouldn't put Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts. Now, that doesn't mean 6 years from now.
Yeah, I think that Justin Herbert is more reputation, where he was drafted, arm talent. Like the fact that he's got this great arm, his size, where he was drafted.
Right.
And you have this, and, he came in as a rookie. He put up gaudy numbers right off the bat. And then the team has just not won with him. That has been the problem.
That's correct. And it's not like last year's team was a bad team. They had a really good defense, good offensive line. The running game was okay. Listen, he needs more weapons, but they got him Lad McConkey. Like, if Justin Herbert doesn't win playoff games this year, I think people have to drop the love affair with him, assuming that the team stays relatively healthy, because they're pretty good.
All right, let's get some more Mosher Mailbag Monday questions. Let's go to Stephen Galloway. How different will Kevin Petula's offense look from what we saw under Kellen Moore? Steve wants to know.
Yeah, it's a good question, Steve. And, you should read Andrew DeCecco's article on InsideTheBirds.com today about that in general. And the honest answer is nobody really knows yet what it's going to look like. But we do know that when they speak about a new iteration of the offense and opening up the offense, they're not talking about, like, new and dynamic ways to run the ball. They're talking about ways of getting the pass offense up to speed, freshening the concepts. And so I think when you're looking at that, without being like so X and O, I definitely think that there's room for this team to be better in the screen game. I think that there's room for this team to be better in the short to intermediate game if Jalen Hurts does a better job of sort of identifying it quickly and seeing it and releasing it. I mean, they're obviously very good downfield. They're very good in the RPO game. And I do think the addition of Avery Williams, Mike, if that works out the way they wanted to, he was obviously out of all the OTAs with an injury, but maybe a little bit more of a gadgetry where you're not gimmicky, but you're doing things like the 49ers do, where you have a multifaceted weapon that you try to get the ball in the hands of.
All right, let's go to Mosher Mailbag Monday question from Jeff in Washington Township. What's the early plan for Saquon Barkley's usage? Do you think they'll use more of the other running backs this season?
Well, like Mike Tyson once said, Jeff in Washington Township, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So I think the Eagles' plan is, hey, let's try to get Will Shipley and maybe A.J. Dillon more involved. Let's try to take the mileage off of Saquon Barkley. Let's try to open up the passing offense. But if they start off 2-2 again, and if things don't look good offensively, guess what? Old reliable is give the ball to Saquon Barkley. So while I'm sure the early plan is to try not to have him on the trajectory for another 400 touches this year, those best laid plans can go to waste if things aren't working better around him.
All right, let's go to this one is from Steve in different Steve. This is Steven Ventnor here. Let me get this one up for you here. He wants to know, should the Eagles try to acquire a tight end 2, wide receiver 3, or add a veteran to the secondary like Asante Samuel or Justin Simmons?
Well, I mean, I can't imagine that they should acquire a tight end 2. They've been doing that basically all offseason between Kylan Granson and Harrison Bryant. They have E.J. Jenkins. They have Grant Calcaterra. There's 4 guys. Oh, and at the end of last year, they brought in Nick Muse and Cameron Latu. I think they've got about 11 tight ends, it seems, all battling to see who's going to be 2 and 3. And same thing with wide receiver 3. I mean, they brought in Terrace Marshall. They have Aniyah Smith and Johnny Wilson and Danny Gray, all battling it out. So for a team that plays a lot of 2 tight end offense, I don't think they need – and Jahan Dotson, of course. I don't think they need too many more options to audition at wide receiver 3. So if you're going to pick one of those spots, you would pick the secondary and probably safety, but you're going to let some competition here play out first and see how it goes before you do that.
You like Asante Samuel? I mean, he's obviously a bigger name. Not Justin Simmons is a big – I'm talking about for corner. Samuel was a high draft choice. His dad played here. The Eagle fans always love, the connections there.
I mean, he was great in 2010 and 9. He got a little bit old. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Wrong Asante. You mean I'm trying to be witty like Mike McGarry. Is that working? That guy is all full of great puns and wit. I'm just trying to be like him. But so if it's working, let me know. If it's not, I'll just stop. But no, I think that he was dealing with an injury. Asante Samuel
He's
Jr.
been banged up. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why you brought in Adoree Jackson. You really want Keely Ringo to win the job, but if you don't, you have a veteran like Adoree. Now, if neither of them are looking good, and Mac McWilliams doesn't, really, you're not loving it, and Asante Samuel is healthy, he would be like one of those good 1 year prove it type signings as long as he's healthy.
All right, let's get to this question from Ken in Mays Landing, a Mosher Mailbag Monday question. Jeff, do you view Cam Jurgens as one of the leaders on the team? I wonder if that has anything to do with the guy he replaced.
He's really only about to enter his second year as a starting center and third year as a starting offensive lineman. I think the offensive lineman that has become a leader that's not named Lane Johnson and obviously no longer Jason Kelsey is Jordan Mailata. I think he's stepping into a leadership role. I see it, the way he speaks for the team, the way he's more confident in putting his opinion on things out there. When the team wasn't doing so well last year, he talked about it. And when the team was pulling together in the middle of the year, he was front and center. I see Mailata right now taking that on a little bit more than Cam Jurgens.
All right, Mosher Monday Mailbag. How does the right guard battle shake out? Is Tyler Steen the heavy favorite, or will someone push him for that job like what happened last year?
All right, I'm going to say this. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. Yes, Tyler Steen is the leader in the clubhouse. He's the favorite. I think he'd have to either get hurt or the guy they acquired from Houston, Kenyon Green, would have to be like an overnight unbelievable success to make this to be able to beat out Steen. However, I don't think we should count out Matt Pryor here. Matt Pryor didn't have a great first time around with the Eagles, but after he left the Eagles, he wound up starting a decent number of games. He played for the Colts. He played left tackle for a team. He played for the Bears. Now, he didn't play well at left tackle. That's not where you want him. But my point is he stuck around, played for 3 different teams, got a lot of starts. So he clearly established himself as good enough to be a starting guard on a bad team and a good backup on a good team. But right now, with Tyler Steen still competing, if Matt Pryor could come back, right, and improve under Jeff Stoutland more and do something differently than the first time around, then would it completely, totally stun me if he was the right guard? Yeah, it still would, but I guess that would mean that Steen and Green didn't really seize it, but that Matt Pryor is someone that at least Stoutland feels comfortable with playing.
Yeah, there are. I liken this group to the 2017 team where Sayamalas started, then they went to Warmack, and then they went to Wisniewski. So it was almost like they can do that here, where Steen starts, you go to Kenyon Green, give him a little flash of an opportunity, and if he can't do it, then you have Matt Pryor in your back pocket.
Yeah, and I know some of the tackles that they're drafted, they may try to cross-train. And I mean, they also have Trevor Keegan, who was drafted last year as a guard. So they've got some guys who can take that opportunity.
Matt Petersburg, Mosher Mailbag Monday. Does Jalen Hurts play a snap in the preseason, yes or no?
Nope. Next question.
Do any Eagles starters, are we past that now where you get all these guys, they got to play a series or two? They didn't play any series last year, and they won the Super Bowl. I think those days are over.
I would think so. Maybe Jeremiah Trotter Jr., like somebody who's got to be a starter, but it's his first year starting. But other than that, probably not. Maybe Andrew Makuba, who knows? But maybe even not. I don't know.
All right, this one's from Paul in Pleasantville. Kind of a fun question here. Which NFC team has a head start on being awful for Archie?
Which NFC team could be awful for Archie?
Now, this question, by the way, Archie Manning. Arch Manning. Now, this question came in last year. We did a NFC mailbag, so this was one of the leftover ones that we never got to, but I told him we would get to it this week. Gotcha. Paul in Pleasantville, I promise you this week. So we were looking at NFC teams only, has a head start on being awful for Arch.
Right. I was going to ask, why do we have to limit this to NFC?
So you could open it up to the AFC. I think he was just playing by the rules.
Okay. I would go with – see, I like this team, but they definitely – if they don't do well this year and things sort of spiral, you could see them really trying to tank and that's the Cardinals, because if they can't win behind Kyler Murray this year with the additions that they've made and over the last few years, then they would be the ones that want Arch Manning. I can't imagine the Bears, even if the Bears stink again, are going to move off of Caleb Williams after 2 years. Maybe the Cowboys, if Dak, no, they can't. They could because, I know Dak has owed a lot of money, but, a quarterback, even in the first round, you can handle it. But really,
it's got to be in the NFC. It's got to be two teams, right? It's the Saints who have no quarterback right now, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I just don't think the Saints 53 is all that bad. They've drafted on the offensive and defensive line. I mean, I suppose it could happen. They're going to start Tyler Shuff, right? So yeah, I could see that happening. But they don't play in a really, really vicious division either. So I feel like accidentally the Saints are going to win 5 games.
Oh, man, I don't know. I think the Saints, their quarterback situation is pretty terrible right now. Them, the Giants?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, the Giants could really use a quarterback, right? I mean,
that's actually a really good one. I'm surprised I didn't think about that. Yeah.
All right, there's a Mosher Mailbag Monday edition. Next Monday, we will have another Mailbag edition, and then the Eagles will report on Tuesday, and we'll be talking training camp next week right here on Football at 4. You excited?
Oh, I'm always excited.
All right, man. See you.
Take that, McGarry. See you guys.
See you. Geoff Mosher, everybody, from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. Just search Inside the Birds.